spirituality is booming. We see yoga studios pretty much in every single corner. More and more people try meditation and go to energy healing sessions like Heiki, which is such a fast transformation. If you think about 20 years ago, when I was a teenager starting on my spiritual path, I didn't feel back then that it was okay for me to share about my spiritual experiences. It felt like people would just say I was crazy and judge me. So here we are living in a time where things are more accepted and accessible, which is beautiful. We have access to such deep teachings these days that can support us to live much more joyful and fulfilling lives. Now, it's not because something is spiritual that is directly supportive of our growth. What do I mean by that? Everything is spiritual, everything. The chair that I'm sitting on, the table in front of me, everything exists beyond matter. Now, it's not because something is spiritual, which is the case of everything, that it would actually support me in my growth journey. And there's a meme online that I love that illustrates this with so much simplicity and clarity. There's a woman and a man, and the man is hitting on the woman by saying, "You know, I'm spiritual." And the woman looks back at him and says, "So are demons." So clear. Everything is spiritual. It's not because something exists that it's naturally love and light. And it doesn't take us much time in this planet to realize that all kinds of things exist in this planet, things that are more supportive and more joyful, and other things that are not that much. This is also clear with our everyday life choices, such as what to eat. There are some foods that are much more supportive and healthier than others. And that also applies to the spiritual realm, so to say, to the spiritual practices that we do and the events that we go to. So let's explore this much deeper now. We live in a universe that is constantly expanding. In this universe, there's two possibilities. We can either expand or contract. Now, this understanding brings us to main consequences, so to say. One of it is that there is no such thing as stagnation. The only constant is impermanence. Things are always moving. We're always either expanding or contracting. We might think sometimes that we're not moving in life, that we are stuck. But that's not true. If we are really stuck, we're actually contracting. There is no standing still. And if you're standing still in a universe that is expanding, you're actually contracting in relationship to everything else. Now, everything in this life takes energy. If you only want to keep things as they are, sustain your life as it is, it will cost you energy to keep those things. So if we stop with everything we're doing, we cannot stay where we are. We will start contracting. If we don't put energy on things, contraction is the only possibility. So first of this is this. We can either expand or we can contract, but we cannot stay where we are. The second inference here is that not everything we do in life necessarily leads us to grow and expand. We are always free to make choices that lead us to contract. We can always make choices that harm us or harm others and create karma. It is completely normal and fine, and it is easy for us to see that at our work, in our relationship with people, but sometimes we get blindsided when it comes to spirituality. We think that everything that is spiritual must be good. And the truth is, no. As above, so below, as within, so without. So we can always make decisions that are not contributing directly to our expansion. We can always make choices that take us out of our path, that takes us further away from our purpose and from being who we are. That is sometimes how we experience much more suffering, because we get so disconnected in times, and it's okay. I'm not saying necessarily that this is good or this is bad. For now, I just would like you to understand that we have these movements. We can expand and we can contract, and not everything leads directly to expansion. We can make decisions that keep contracting us, so we can keep regressing in a way. That is a possibility. Now, of course, in a universe that is expanding and humanity and Earth expanding, there is a natural tendency for expansion, and hopefully sooner or later we all expand. But we can make decisions all the time spiritually that are not supportive of our spiritual growth, that can delay our progress greatly and cause us much suffering. Now, we could argue that suffering is a great teacher, that it is by making choices that are not the supportive of us and experiencing suffering that we understand that we need to change something, to make better decisions and take actions that are more loving and supportive of us, so we can go back to expansion instead of keeping contracting. And of course, that is absolutely the best scenario, that we do not want to suffer, that the more suffering we bring into our lives, the more we would like to change into more loving lives. And that is true for many people. Many people do change as they feel that suffering. Unfortunately, some people get stuck in that suffering and repeating patterns that are causing them suffering for decades, if not for the rest of their lives. So change is always possible, and some people can change much faster than others and learn much faster than others. And it is beautiful that we humans have the capacity of learning, that we can learn from our actions and the results of them, from our feelings and thoughts. We can be sponges, observing and understanding what is going on to change according to what we are experiencing. And it is fantastic that we have this capability. However, although suffering is a great teacher, it's not the only one. And sometimes it takes us to suffer much more and much longer than necessary before doing the change. And it is, again, it's a human property to be able to learn from everything and to see the good side of everything. That does not mean that the great extensive suffering and the longer journey to grow is actually necessary. We could say that we will all expand at some point, that our souls are on this eternal journey of growth and expansion. And it is true. What I'm saying here is that we can make it much longer and much more painful than it has to be. Discernment is key. Discerning between what is supportive of us and what is not supportive of us. Discerning what is it that is going to support us to stay in our spiritual path, and what is it that is sidetracking us. Shiny objects that can sound so fun and interesting, but are actually dispersing our energy and efforts. And it can be anything from fun events and retreats to new practices to new lineages. It can literally be anything. And the role of discernment is to create this ability to understand what is for us and what is not for us, what is expanding us and what is contracting us. So remember in the beginning of the video where I said it's amazing to live in a time when so many beautiful practices and spirituality is so easily accessible for us. It's easier than ever to start on our journey of spiritual growth. That also means that it is very easy for us to be sidetracked, to not go deeper enough, to keep trying all sorts of things. And don't get me wrong, sometimes when we begin, we need to try out different things to find what actually resonates with us and what is our path. But everything that has a good side also has a not so good side. It's just the balance, and it's completely fine. It is beautiful that so many things are easily accessible for us. But that also makes it very easy for us to not commit to anything. and treat spirituality as a hobby. And this is a wonderful trap of the ego, because the spiritual growth does require commitment in the sense of devotion to ourselves, to allow ourselves to go deeper into the practices and allow the different layers of the practices to unfold so we can go through transformative alchemical processes. Going to one thing here and going to another thing there is a taste of something. It is not the work. And the ego really loves that, because in a way that allows ourselves to say, we're exploring spirituality, we are raising our consciousness, we're doing all this amazing work in us. When if we look deep, we'll see that not really. The ego found a way to protect ourselves from doing the real work by not committing to anything, by not allowing ourselves to go deep into anything. Not all energy works the same way. Sometimes when we do too many different things, nothing gets to build up in us. They are not working necessarily together. The ego is so clever and we all have it. Spiritual growth requires this devotion to our growth, to devotion to ourselves, which comes with certain responsibilities and commitments. Now, I love having fun in life. Life is all about joy. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that this path is supposed to be serious, and when things seem to be fun, that we shut them down. But we create discernment of what is using fun as a distraction to get us out from the real work. Life is to be lived and to be fun, and we do all of this spiritual growth thing just to have more fulfilling and purposeful lives. We want to live in joy, and part of that is seeing the truth of our illusions, seeing when that is it that we're kind of self-sabotaging us, because again, we all do it. There's it's nobody's immune to that. It's only about our ability to develop our self-awareness so we understand better the traps that our own egos are playing on us. This is one of the main reasons why we see so many people going to so many spiritual events and retreats and working so hard on themselves, but without a clear path and doing all these sort of things and still finding themselves in this place of confusion, of not knowing what they want without the courage to act on their hearts. So despite all the work, some patterns and relationship patterns keep on repeating because there's no depth. We are working, but we are working in scattered ways. We're not going deep enough. We're not committed enough. So recognizing these traps of the ego and then taking aligned actions and committing to specific things for a while and allowing them to transform us and unfold, because it's very different doing, say, a specific pranayama breathwork exercise for 15 minutes every day for 1 month, than going for one class and having an idea of what it is, or even for doing just 5 minutes a day for 3 days. It's a major energetic shift when we commit to something for extensive periods of time. This is when our energy field gets to shift, and this is so big in spiritual development as in my life and work with my clients. That's one of the reasons why it can be so helpful as well to work with a spiritual guide, a mentor that can see your path and what practices are more suitable for you at this moment. So there is a cohesion and coherence in what is being done. We all need that support sometimes. I've had so many different teachers in my lifetime and still do. And I'm grateful and honored to be able to support people in their spiritual growth and soul fulfillment. To learn more about what spiritual growth is, get your free guide, What is Spiritual Growth? You will find the link in the video description below. Remember to subscribe below this video to be updated about my upcoming videos on spiritual growth and soul fulfillment. My name is Aline Ra M, spiritual guide, healer, teacher, and I thank you for sharing your time and energy with me today.